So God shows no one the way that God works, and God shows no man the way that God is the way. And in every way that God has said unto you, let the children know that they must return back to their own homelands. For every way that God's judgment will be intensified in the lands of the heathens and the Hebrews and the Gentiles, so will they experience suffering that they had never before known. God sends the children back to their own homelands, for God places the armor of God around the children of God and around the lands of the children of God, so that in all the ways that God's judgment is intensified, it will not go near the children of God. In all the lands of the heathens, the Hebrews, and the Gentiles, God has said unto you that they will experience suffering on a scale that they had never ever before witnessed. And in every way that God unleashes the many several plagues that are yet to come, and the many calamities that God has intensified to come, God turns their lives upside down and inside out. For they knew not the way God spoke and told them, be sure of what you do. And they inflicted suffering on the children in all the ways that the children walked here, and cried out to God and asked for mercy, and they granted them neither mercy nor leniency. And God knew that every way that God would return it tenfold to them, God will show them that what they did not like for themselves, they should not have given to the children of God. We have said to you that the children must listen to the things that we have said that comes from us to you and from you to them, because the children have always walked in a hardened heart, and their ears were always deaf to the things that God had said to them, in the many that God had sent before you to speak to them and to tell them the things that they needed to know and the things that they needed to do. And God said, let them know this time around that God is never ever going to wait for them, nor will ever God pardon them when they listen not and heed not to the things that God sent that they must know. For every man sees the seasons changing and don't know that it is changing. And in the many parts of this earth, God is showing man the calamities that are happening that he didn't understand. Because God knew that every way that man did not know the ways of your God, man had no way of knowing what it is that God is showing man. And you must tell the children of God, you have eyes, see what God has shown you. That everywhere that in the lands of the heathens, the Hebrews, and the Gentiles, things are changing, the season is changing. And everywhere that God had said unto you, that all the institutions of man shall crumble and fall. No man shall be able to rule in any part of God's house. And every way that man had relied on all the institutions that he had created for himself, so that he may live in the way in which he lives, God giveth that every institution be destroyed. In all these lands, God says to you, the manna will dry up. The manna will dry up. And only in the lands of the children of God will the manna continue to flourish. They must know why you say to them, return back to your own lands, return back to your own lands. And God has told you that every way that man relies on water, the water will turn into the cankerworm. It will become as bitter as gall, and none shall be able to drink it. God told them, thou shalt hunger and thirst, and they didn't understand what God said because of your unrighteousness. And no man understood what it is that was written, how it was written, or why it was written the way it was written. Because God is a wise God. God is a wise God. And God always says to you that unless man comes to God and ask of your God, what did you mean by the things that you have given to us to know? They cannot know anything. They can know nothing. And they know nothing. Because God shows man that in every way that he violated the sacred and divine laws of God, everything in the world started becoming warped. The vibrations in the world became warped. The vibrations of man became warped. The vibrations of the children became warped. And they were no longer in tune with the vibrations of the sun. And so man has no way of knowing that in all the ways that he is anchored in this valley, he is anchored because he is in a lower vibration that cannot lift him up, that he may come up higher. And it is for this reason God told them, you can't elevate yourself, but God will send the Redeemer to you, and the Redeemer will teach you the way to come up higher. The children of God never listened. For in all the many generations, God sent many, many messengers of God to them. And they told them the things that God had given to be known. And many laughed at them. Many despised them. Some ridiculed them because they didn't listen. And God knew that every way that the children had ears and didn't hear, they would feel. So they must know why it is that they still suffer, because they did not heed the words of the messengers of God sent to them that were of the children of God. God asked them, why are you looking for another? Somebody else come and tell you something from another tribe and you believe them. We send you messengers of yourselves unto you. You didn't believe them. And so God kept asking the children, why are you looking for another? Why are you looking for another? And God says, you must tell them. You must tell them. If you were gods in this form that you are, and you were great and mighty, why is it that you have difficulty understanding that God can send from you among you he who is just like you, but is God walking like you? And God knew that all the children of God were lost because they did not believe what God told them. And God always said to them, everything is possible if you only believe. Believe in he who I have sent, and you will find the way to the salvation of God. We always say to you, son, you respect no one because God sends you in the mission of God to serve God and God alone. And wherever we send you, in all the messages that we give from us to you and from you to the children, let those who hear, and let those who believe find a path to light. For God always says to them that in every way that God's will is done, it is done according to the faith of man in the way of God that is given. We send you to show the children the path to light. We send you to guide them always in the way that they must come up higher. And we give you the way to know the ways in which all things that are given to come will come, that in prophesying the things that we give unto you, so will it be done, and so will they know what it is that you have said, and so will they see that which is done, that is given from God to you and from you to them. They must know there is no secret to God. There is absolutely no secret to God when you find God within you. And the children did exactly as all the tribes of earth did. They looked outside of themselves. They didn't look within themselves. To look within yourself is to contemplate the way in which you are, and to always ask, how is it that I am the way that I am? How it is the world is the way that it is. How am I able to do the things that I do, to know the things that I know? Where from come all this knowledge? Where from come all this wisdom? And where from is the might that enable me to do the things that I do? And when they begin to ask, as God has told them, ask and it will be given to you, tell them, then will all answers be made known to you. For it is the way in which you begin to activate the light that is of the Spirit that is also in you, that in every way that you will come to the realization of who you are, you will come to know the connectedness you have with the God that is in you, that is of you, that is you, that is known as your spirit. They need to know these things. And they need to know it because God tells them that God is not giving any warning as to how things will end. God told them so. God told the whole world so. No warning will be given to you. And God has shown you that in every way it will end. It will end like a twinkle in the eye. No man would know, no man would understand, and no man is given to know. For God keeps the word of God in exactly the way that God has given it to everybody. No warning will be given. None shall be given. And in every way the many lands shall disappear, it shall come like a flash of lightning. Man did not know the power of your God, because man did not know God. And when man didn't know God, he didn't know what God can do, nor could he have known what it is that God does. And so we give you to speak, to teach, to preach, and to work in the many wonders of God that are given in you, from you, so that in seeing that which is done, the children will come to the realization that God has sent you to redeem the things of God that are sacred and divine, that was given to this earth. God give it blessings always in all the ways you speak and teach. God sends blessings in the words of God to the ears of those who hear, so that in all the ways that they become awakened, in a new consciousness of who they are, they will also become awake in the consciousness of who you are. For God knows every way to show them that every light that is ignited in them shall be the way that shows them the way. And when it shows them the way, it will illuminate the truth. And when it illuminates the truth, it will always give them the way to discover who they are. And so we give to you that in every way that you are the way, the truth, and the light, so will they also become the way, the truth, and the light. For God always tells them, the way to God is through the Son. That in knowing the ways of the Son, you also know the ways that God has given all things to you. For all the children of God were created and given the same things, like you. And when they lost it, they were no longer able to find it. And they couldn't find it because the divinity of the Mother and the Father God was taken out of them. And we knew they couldn't find it. And so we told them the time would come. We will send a Redeemer unto you. And he will show you the way, because he will be the way. And in showing you the way, you will become the way. In becoming the way, you will discover the truth. In discovering the truth, you would know why God has said unto you all, ye are the lights of the world. God said, you see how easy it is. How easy it is. When you wanted anyone to know anything, you gave someone who knew what to do to demonstrate to them how they can do it. And that is all that it is. We sent you to demonstrate to them what it is that they need to do, that they may return back to being gods as men, like we have given unto you. There's nothing mysterious about it. There is nothing mysterious about it. And God shows them, you go to school. You look to the teacher who has that knowledge to give to you, that in giving you the knowledge, you have acquired the knowledge that the teacher has, and even you become a teacher. So God said, you must tell them. All this nonsense about Jesus and somebody coming from somewhere to save you and this body having all this. God said, the Son is like you. He walks like you. He talks like you. Does things like you. The difference is that he had returned unto him the divinity of the Father and the Mother God. And it is that divine in him that gives him the wisdom and the knowledge to be able to show you how it is that you too can become like him. There is no mystery to any of this. There's no mystery to any of it. And the children kept running after everything else. And God said, it's in you. And you always told them. Everything that is outside of you is already in you. Everything that originates from you and is made manifest to the world from you was already in you. And all that you needed to know is, how do I access it? And how can I use it? And God always told them, use it for good. Use it for good. Because it is given in the love of God. And in the love of God, it is given to work for the good of all of God's creation. So you always tell them, I am just like you. I am just like you. Modeling to you the way that God had brought you to earth, given you all that which you needed, that you would have overcome the evils of earth. I walk just like you. I talk just like you. I do everything just like you. But the difference is that God took me to a different realm of consciousness in a different dimension, showed me the things that I needed to see, taught me the things I needed to know, placed in my heart the book of resurrection, which is a book that has not been given to man, that carries all the sacred and divine secrets of God. And these things I share with you because God has given that it be shared with the children of God. So God says, just look within. Just look within. Turn away from all these things you see happening around you. Stop allowing yourselves to be cluttered up with all kinds of negative information, false information, misguided information. These are not of God. These are not the doings of God. These are the doings of evildoers. Take time out. Take time out. Focus on yourself. Ask yourself many questions about your own existence. Even ask yourself, how am I my brothers and my sisters' keepers? What am I doing to show God that in all the ways God said you all go forth and love one another and do good, that I have been able to do these things? Stop looking elsewhere. Start looking within. For when you find the way to look within yourself, you will discover that there's a greater way, in a greater life, in a greater dimension that exists in you. And in every way, I was able to be taken to higher dimensions, to climb the stairway to a higher dimension. So would you also be able to climb the same stairway to the higher dimension. Jacob's ladder is the stairway. And it is called a ladder because it has many rungs. Each rung that you climb on reveals to you something that you could not have seen from the lower round. And the higher you go, the greater the vision you have, the further you see, and the greater your understanding becomes of the things that are hidden from the mortal eye of sinful man. God's blessing go with all of you. God's lights ignite in all of you. For in every way that your lights will ignite, so will your consciousness increase, and you will come to the true awareness of who you are and the way in which that God that is within you relates to you as you.